Been speaking to a few candidates over the last few days, and one thing that we've been talking about is how can you show that you have blockchain investigation skills when you don't actually have blockchain investigation experience? You may only have training from like Chainalysis or Ciphertrace or other more practical blockchain investigations training. I'm going to show you 3 ways that I personally would show off my skills if I don't have any experience in industry. Come check it out with me. All right, now that everyone's here, you click the link. I'm gonna go deep down right now. So this is gonna be very shuffled. I'm gonna show you in person. This has to be video. I can't really put this on podcast because I'm gonna have to show you. So the first way I would try to identify that I have blockchain investigation skills is to prove to the future employer how I would conduct an investigation. Now, many of you are gonna say, well, Stephen, how am I gonna do that when I don't actually have use of the tool? This is where I come in. This is where we use some of our resources. We get a little bit nitty gritty. First thing I do, simply just ask. 4 years ago, when I was starting in my career, I never used a tool. I reached out to a person by the name of Samantha Stutman. I said, hey, Samantha, really love what Chainalysis is doing. This was 4 years ago. Do you mind giving me a demo of the tool? She said, yeah, sure. Here, try it out for 2 weeks. And she let me demo it for 2 weeks. So this is a really great way. If you have no way of getting access to this tool, simply just ask. Maybe you can barter. Maybe you can go to these companies and say, hey, listen, I would love to use your tool, give you feedback as a new customer or a new person using the tool. In exchange for that, what I can provide you is for you to actually give me access to the tool, and I can provide you a list of feedback or options. Once you get access to the tool, it's a great way to dive in there, do some investigations. I'm gonna show you what I would do if I had access to it in a bit, but this is a way for you to kind of conduct an investigation. I would actually record yourself doing this investigation, highlighting some certain points. Actually, let's dump right into it. Let me share my screen here. So what I would do is if I got access to something like Chainalysis, I hope this is actually sharing the screen. It would suck if it wasn't. If I got access to Chainalysis, I would take something from public record. So if you go to OFAC, this was the recent Chaddix sanction list. They give you all the Bitcoin addresses, which is the XBT abbreviation. You can pop all these addresses into Chainalysis and take a look and draw out an investigation of how you would investigate this nested exchange on a larger cryptocurrency exchanges platform. And you can walk the interviewer through some of the connections, highlight some of the illicit activity, especially direct connection to things like ransomware or direct connections to the darknet markets. Explain how you would identify the different exposures, how you would filter the exposures that would be more high risk, let's just say to US law enforcement or somebody else, and identify like, hey, if there's a transaction from another exchange, what would law enforcement do in this instant? Like subpoena that exchange or provide a law enforcement request. Also, maybe add in a couple hops in between, because this will give you an option. Now, if you add in a couple hops, you can now describe what the hops mean. What does it mean to go through an intermediary address? Does that address have enough transfers, or does it have a stream amount of addresses? Could it be a service provider? Could it be an individual operating these addresses? This is a great way to show off your investigation skills. So this is what I would do, essentially, if I had the option to show off my skills right away. So I'm going to do a quick stop share there, come back to you guys. I hope I didn't leave you. What I would do is go after maybe I would go after all the blockchain analytics companies, but I would look at things like Antchain.io or even, I think it's Solidus Labs. They're fairly new. They're building up a lot of traction, but they might be more inclined to allow you to use their tool and give feedback. Also, a lot more expense relatable and like kind of for the community blockchain analytics tools is Breadcrumbs. Those are the people that I would be asking, hey, listen, I would even say explain exactly what you're doing. I'm trying to get into this market. I would love to use your tool. And during the process of interviewing, I would be notifying the interviewer that I am using your tool, gets a little bit more exposure. at least give them something that you're going to provide to them, a deliverable, maybe this, 5 to 6 points as to why their tool was really good. What did you struggle with it as a newcomer? That might lead to other relationships. Hey, it might actually lead to a job with them, which is even better than working for a cryptocurrency exchange sometimes. So keep those couple thoughts in mind. The second thing I would do is, hey, get creative. Create your own blockchain analytics tool. I know what you're thinking. Steven, I can't really create an own blockchain analytics tool. That's crazy. Chainalysis and Elliptic and all those spend millions of dollars to create these suites and tools and products and solutions. How am I going to do it? Just simply go to Canva. Once again here, I'm going to share my screen and hope that it works. And I won't know until afterwards whether it does work. But simply what I do is I have a slide that I actually present for cryptocurrency compliance professionals or soon to be compliance professionals. And I really just outlined, I created my own blockchain analytics tool. I kind of created what the darknet markets would look like. I created private wallets here. I created mixers and Coinbase. I talked about law enforcement's visibility. You can actually create an investigation using these tools and then talk about different items like the amount of time between the transactions and what does that mean? You can describe what change address analytics is and how do you identify that? You can talk about what does indirect exposure versus direct exposure mean and how you can investigate those differently. You can talk about a ton of different things. You can talk about potential changes of ownership or commingled funds for an address that received partly legitimate funds or what we think to be legitimate and also receive funds from like the darknet market. And you can talk about what law enforcement would have to do, what their visibility would be, and how you could assist them from a cryptocurrency exchange point of view in regards to filing a SAR or going through an MLAT process. These are all ways you can flex all the training that you've received in an exclusive investigation that you've created. And you can actually mimic actual investigations as well. I'm back. Okay, so do it yourself. This is a great opportunity to refer to all those items I talked about. It's super easy to do on things like Canva, which is free. Literally, it's just a couple dots, maybe some text. I would draw a little bit of an advanced investigation. Create something in your head. Create things that you know or remembered from your training. The whole point of having blockchain investigations experience is not being able to actually do the job, but knowing how the job would be done if you were in it. Remember, a lot of the people interviewing you may not have actually conducted a blockchain investigation themselves. They would be super impressed by someone that was able to show them the process. Alternatively, if you find someone that's very experienced with blockchain investigations, they'll be super impressed that you took the time and effort to kind of display your skills in this manner, because I guarantee nobody else is going to do this. 90% of you listening to this and watching this video are not going to do this because you think it may not work. Lastly, what I would do if I took one of those training programs, if I was in the Chainalysis course, if I was doing the Ciphertrace with Pam, what I would probably do is just ask for an extension. Most of these companies, if you went through the course, you can ask for an extension. You can ask for a 1-week demo trial. You've used their tool already. You're familiar with it. You've been practicing. But to be quite honest, it's really hard to kind of get a good feel about the tool in just using it over 4 days, especially when you're like studying for the exam and trying to pass the exam. It's really difficult to kind of remember what you did a few weeks later. Ask for permission to go through the tool and then go through that same steps that I showed you in the first one where you create your own investigation. Lastly, and this is even more strange, I think, but let's just see, we can do this on our own, I guess. I don't even need to share screen. Just Google Chainalysis, TRM Labs, just Elliptic, just Google graphs. They'll have their own graph to particular investigations that they've conducted. Now, they have all the insights that they've created on the investigation, but you can take that and take some of the things that you remembered and walk through the investigation and shows how it would impact the exchange that you're applying for, or the digital asset custodian company that you're applying for. So you have the information, and they can also go to the article or the webinar and see exactly how that investigation was conducted and where your thoughts are different. So you can outline all the thoughts that were provided by whoever did the investigation and post about it, but then you should have 5 or 6 of your own thoughts about what you think happened, how come certain things couldn't happen, like how come the hackers weren't able to get away with the funds in the colonial pipeline. Talk about things like that. Talk about other things that may have impacted law enforcement, whether it was certain jurisdictions. These are all great ways to show your skills without even having access to the tool. Now, I know you might be saying, like, now that you have this information, now that you've created this, you've been able to get access to the tool, what do you do now? I'm so glad you asked. This is where I come in. You record it. The same way I just recorded this video, I would just record myself going through an investigation, talking about it. Keep it short, keep it concise, keep it fresh, right? You don't want to be like, this is a hop and the hop went to coin. Like, that's not going to get people excited. They're probably going to just quickly X that out or put you on 3 times speed, and they're never going to get the gist of what you can do. Record yourself going through an investigation. I'd say 3 minutes. Spend a little bit of money. Go to Fiverr, go to Upwork, get someone to split it, cut it, work with you so that this investigation has music and sound effects and pow, pow. Like, that would get me going if I'm on the other side. If I'm an interviewer and you went to all this effort, the one thing to know is once you go through all this effort, there is a good percentage chance that you'll never get to present this. That the interviewer will be like, no, we don't really have time for this within our interview. But you can still send it to them after with your thank you note that you should be sending a thank you note. You can send them this video of you and let them hold it, right? And when I'll show you guys, if you need to, how to upload the video to YouTube so you can see if they've actually opened it or not, which is probably always good as well. So these are just some really great ways for you to show your skills. And even if no one looks at that video, how cool is that for you as someone that's learning about blockchain investigations? You're practicing your craft. You're practicing an investigation. You're learning about the tools. You're probably watching a few more webinars, especially the webinars that have the graphs in it, to have a better understanding of how the blockchain investigators like the TRM Labs, the Elliptics, and the Chainalysis are using these tools and how they're able to explain themselves and explain to the public what has happened and why certain things did or didn't happen. So this is a great way. And even if you don't get to use it, trust me, I've done a ton of these videos. Nobody's ever looked at them. I'm okay with that. I'm getting better and better. I'm refining my skills and I'm learning a lot. This is what you guys want to be able to do. And one thing I do know is that whoever receives the video by me, I know there's not one other person that's done that video. So I'm standing out, regardless of whatever the result of that video was supposed to be, whether it was to work with an NFT project and provide consulting, whether it was to join another company, whatever the project is, it doesn't matter. You are working at sharpening your skills. This is actually really fun when you get into do it. Plus, you start learning a lot of skills. You start making connections. When I made that connection with Chainalysis, when a job came up, they actually reached out to me about the job. That would have never happened if I didn't introduce myself, if I didn't show passion about nobody was asking them to use their tool that wasn't probably part of a financial institution or a cryptocurrency company. Just to show them that I had the ambition, the enthusiasm, and the incitement to kind of work on their tools was probably enough to get me that interview. These are things that I never thought of when I was reaching out. I was just passionate. I want to learn more. I want to use the tools that everyone was using. This is the kind of mindset you have to get in this industry. You have to be resourceful. Don't just sit on your hands and say in the interview, I have training on Chainalysis. And they're going to be like, yeah, that's great, but we really need to someone hit the ground running. And you'd be like, okay, cool. Like, let me show you how I could do this investigation and how I think this could help you mitigate your risk at ABC cryptocurrency company. Boom. There we go. Already told you, I'm back and forth. I'm up and down, feeling good today. I had an iced coffee. I'm not going to lie. It's 4 o'clock. I had an iced coffee. I probably won't even be able to sleep. Make sure you spend the money. I know it doesn't sound like a wise investment to spend the money. Trust me, spend the money, spice up the video, maybe add some graphics, some song. Like, there's people that can do up a video like that, 2 to 3 minutes for like less than $100. Best investment of your life. If you get the job, trust me, you'll get 10 times that $100 in your opening offer because they are going to be blown away that you chose to be so creative. And there's a chance it doesn't work. If it doesn't work, come back to me. We'll do another one for another company. But I can guarantee you this. It's funny, when I told somebody this, they're like, oh, you think outside the box. To me, there is no box. There'll never be a box, okay? There's no box when it comes to crypto. There's no traditional way to apply for a job when it comes to crypto. Could be a job here, gone tomorrow. My whole thought process is be a little bit more creative than the next person. get excited about what you do. I'm excited to even record this video and share some of my thoughts and go back and hope to God that I shared the right screen with you guys so that you didn't miss out on all the awesomeness I just taught you. If this helped, reach out. If you do a video, reach out to me. I'll help you with the video. How about that? I will actually help you with the video. I'll help you find some cool people to edit it. I'll do the best I can. And I guarantee, find a way to include the video. I can remember one thing from an interview that we had. I'm not gonna say the company, it was for like a KYC position. I was on the interviewing panel. And to be quite honest, the interview was going terribly. The person I thought was completely a terrible interview. Everybody was like checked out. We were sending each other Slack messages halfway through the interview, like, I don't think this is gonna work out. But the person kept on talking about this document. I'm gonna send you guys a document. We're like, okay, keep the doc. It's like, no, I'm gonna send you guys a document. I'm gonna send you guys a document. He said, and we're like, okay, send the document through. We opened up the document, and what this person did is they went through the whole onboarding process for the company that I was working with. And they showed all the areas that we could improve the KYC and the onboarding process. Blown away. I'm still blown away to this day. Automatically, the first thing he got was a second interview because he might not even be best for that position, but there will be positions for people that think like that. Companies will find a way to have people that think outside the box like that, especially when that person maybe put in 20, 30 minutes of work pre-hand, but he showed the effort, the enthusiasm. And to be quite honest, a lot of his thoughts weren't like, you were doing this bad. They were actually fairly insightful. Hey, as a new customer, I struggled with A, B, and C, and this could affect your onboarding process or your accuracy in collecting information because of X, Y, Z. Super important. I will never forget that person who interviewed. Whether or not they got the job, I don't know. I wasn't part of the process after that. But I'll never forget that person for doing what they did. They'll never forget you for taking a chance and doing something that the average person wouldn't do. And maybe it's not exactly this. Maybe I sparked something in your mind that you're like, oh, there's something I always wanted to do. Here's my chance to try it. Try it. Go outside. These interviews are short. Going through your resume and telling them how many years of experience is great. But what I would focus on in an interview is talk about your transferable skills, your experience that can transfer in this position, and then show them a little sizzle that you can do the job if you're put in the position, even though you haven't done the job before. Nobody's going to do it. You're going to do it, and you're going to crush it. Hope this helps, guys. I hope you can see when I share this screen. Otherwise, this kind of sucks. But I'm confident. I'm confident my skills have come to a place where you'll see what I put on the screen. Reach out if you need anything and show me your videos, man. You put together a video, reach out, and I'll help you.